morning. The task at hand today is to put a hitch on the EV9. This is what the finished product will look like, including the brake controller install. So this model is a EV9 Wind, so it does not have all the fancy items that the Land or the GT does. And it did not come with a hitch or wiring or any of that. So there's a few things you're going to need. You're going to need the hitch first. This one came from U-Haul. It's a Curt model. They had a good price on that, so went ahead and picked it up in a town nearby. Going to need the wiring harness. I'll put a description here, but there's the part number. I've got the trailer brake controller and associated harness. And then finally, the KIA Valance here, which is... So you'll need all those items to do a factory looking installation. I'm underneath the car, and the first thing I got to do is remove this dirty cover. Notice there's some 10 millimeter bolts here, and there will be some plastic items here that need to come off. First off, screwdriver. So all you do is get this in here, and some of them pop off that easy. Typically the head pops down, and then you have to get in there and really play with them to pull them out, and half the time these little things break off. However, this car is pretty new, so I suspect that that's why I'm having the luck, is this plastic is not all brittle. But if yours has been out in the heat for a few years, chances are you're going to break a few of these, and you're going to end up having to get a few. My local Ace Hardware actually has an assortment of these, and so I've been pretty lucky in ordering them. I've also gone to O'Reilly's and had them order a box of them, not for this car, but for some of the other cars that I have. And yeah, and so it works pretty easy. And then opposite, when you put it in, you just put it in and push the button in. Okay, actually, before we put the hitch up, I have to take this trim piece off because I'm going to replace it. And so I believe that's just these guys, and I think it'll slide out. So let me go ahead and do that. So you gotta loosen that, and then it seems like you loosen that. And let's look at the other. Let's look at the other piece for some clues. Okay, so this other piece, I think I just pulled out this tab here, so it looks like the rest of this just slides out straight. Okay, I think the key is going to be to push this piece towards the rear as straight as possible. And I think that means starting on one side and kind of continuing to unzip it. You can kind of hear it popping as it unzips these tabs. I've got that off, and like I said, you just got to keep getting them out of these little slots, and you can kind of see the pin. And what I didn't appreciate when I bought that is that this was a painted piece, and the one I ordered was just plastic. So I think if I cared more and it was more visible, I would one, have seen if they ordered or if they have a painted piece, or two, have it painted. But I don't know that I want to spend that much money. So what we're after is these holes right here And after that, we're also after the other side over here. The first thing I'm going to do is put in this bracket. It goes up here. I'm going to set that kind of on this, I'll call it a frame channel, that and I want to leave it there. Hopefully it doesn't beam me in the head. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of these long bolts. You'll notice the perforations are to the bracket side. It's a conical, and the idea is that you're compressing against that conic. All right, so I'm just going to put one of these here, and I'm going to locate the thread. I'm going to put it in. Then I'm going to grab the other long bolt. I'm going to do the same. I've only got one hand here because of the iPhone, so this is a little bit more clumsy than it would be for someone not trying to take video. Okay, now the reason I did that is I wanted to get everything lined up because we have to put a short bolt here. And I want to make sure that everything is lined up. This one, the kit didn't come with a washer, so we're going to do our best here. Get that started. Prop that up a little bit. Then I'll grab my ratchet and my socket. If I wasn't taking video, this would all have been done with electric tools, but I also don't want to kill your eardrums. Okay, I'm going to remove these bolts as they're going to be in the way of installing the hitch. That hitch is in. A couple of notes on that. You've got to install the driver's side in because it's got to make it around the lip of the frame channel. And then on the passenger side, once you've got this driver's side kind of hooked over the lip, you've got to bring it and you've got to get it up over that mount that you put in. But the high voltage to the charging port, and I'm assuming these are the heater lines for the rear heater. It's kind of a pain to get that all nestled in there. So anyway, be patient with it. It is somewhat of a pain, and all you can do is fight it. I was able to get it in there and kind of use this natural hook, just to rest a little bit of weight on this harness, which seems pretty robust. So for as light as this hitch is, I don't think we're doing any damage. Then I got those bolts in, at least started, and a good number of turns in, and then I was able to get that bolt and that bolt started. Went ahead and tightened this side up, and then went back to that side over there and tightened that up. And now, so did that with the 3/8, and then you saw me get the breaker bar and a 1/2 inch out just to make sure that they're really good and snug. We're in the back of the EV now, and I need to get in here. So I've got these covers I bought on eBay just to keep everything clean. I've got a couple of small kids, so everything, you know, gets to be a mess with them. So put all this in there just to make sure that the car stays as nice as possible. So anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to lift this up, fold this over. I'm doing this for the first time, so we're going to explore together. I'm going to remove this trim piece. It just snaps out with these clips here. You can see the holes and the slots, and then it, you know, goes in there. Take this one off over here. I don't know if that's a cup holder or what that is. There are a few captive of these captive plastic nuts. So let me grab a ratchet. Okay, sure enough, we'll go ahead and get these off. Let me flip my ratchet around. I'm gonna go ahead and do this with both hands. So, okay, something to note about these is they won't come out. They're captive in the plastic. And then I also just noticed one over here. So I'll go ahead and get that removed and get that out of there. So it takes a little bit of force to pull this up. So I started on this side, it seemed to unzip around here, and then I really kind of had to pull on this side, but it seemed to come loose. So I'm going to go ahead and take this completely out. And now that piece is out, we've got some access to some things. I think there's a few things we're looking at. I think this is the AC DC charger. So that takes your AC from your level 2, brings it in, rectifies it, regulates it, sends it to your battery. And then I think it also handles communications with your DC fast charger, your level 3. So anyway, we need access to all that stuff because we end up having to find some connectors. I think this is one of them for the kit. So let's bust out the kit, the DOF67AC00, and I believe the newest one is got a 1 instead of a final 0 there. So instructions, kit of ties and accessories, etc. And you have the main harness with the 7 plug. We'll open that in just a moment. This is the harness for the brake controller. We'll use that later. And then finally, I'm not totally sure what this does, but this is some sort of module. I suspect it's kind of like what you would see in an aftermarket that separates the taillights, etc. All right, we're back at the back of the car. I zip tied this. I'm not too worried about these tails. Zip tied it up here. I brought the harness over and around, and keep in mind that's going to go somewhere like that. So I think I have enough service loop in the harness to make that happen. Okay, I pulled off camera. I pulled this grommet out of that hole. So I'm going to route the connectors in there. I have already just put the harness loosely over here, and I'll end up zip tying it probably to the back of the hitch here. So let me go ahead and do this one-handed. Get this in here so you can see it. So one connector in, two connectors in, three connectors in, and we'll just kind of feed that in. Sorry for the nonsensical camera work here. Feed that in. Now the thing is, the grommet actually needs to pull in from the interior, so you have to actually feed the grommet through, and then you're gonna, so it's all the way through, and then you're gonna take it and, oh, I pulled too hard. You gotta pull it back out, but not so hard that it pops out. So I just squeeze it like this to get it in, put it in, and then, sorry for the, try to get a better view here. Slowly pull it. Oh, did you hear it pop? There we go. And that's in. So that's got a nice seal all the way around the grommet. And now we've got to get that harness that I had snaked up there up past the high voltage line. And let's go ahead and pull that out. I feel like it just snagged a little bit. So now I've got that in the car. So that's good news. It appears the next thing that they want you to do is to connect this ground lug to this whole slew of ground points here. You will need to take this little Velcro tie off so that you can do it. They want you to kind of spread this over. I'm gonna go ahead and take this other harness that was in the kit and start laying it out. So next to the charger is this harness here. You're gonna go ahead and connect that here. Now, a couple things to notice. You've got two fuses here, 220 amps. If in the future you have a lack of function, this would be something to check. Now, keep in mind, it's not exactly convenient because you got to take all this whole thing out to do it, but it is what it is. Okay, that was just a peel and stick. You just peeled and stuck this thing on the bottom and got on with life. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make the connections here. So pulled that trim piece off of here. I won't say it wasn't without casualty. I broke one clip, but it'll be okay. So this trailer control module, they want you to tuck it under this existing ground harness here up against this, and then take a zip tie through the module and zip tie it to here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, I've got that zip tied. There's a little slot that the zip tie can go through over. I just looped the tail back over. I think that's what they want you to do. Anyway, and I tried to keep this kind of tight and low because these two have nuts and you can see where the pressure was, and I don't know how much clearance there is. Or maybe we put this over here and we don't have to deal with that at all. Yeah, that's probably a better plan. And then tuck this one over here. All this back in. Those nuts went in pretty easy. All this is back in. Probably about 2 minutes to do all that. Propping all that up, but that's all back together. So I think that concludes this part. I am going to solder the Redarc harness to the KIA harness here. Go ahead and get that soldered. I am going to use some shrink sleeve tubing, which you'll see right there on all this. I'll go ahead and get that done. There's plenty of videos on YouTube to teach you how to solder, so I'm not going to go ahead and video that. All right, I've got this harness soldered. I went and put that cloth tape that KIA uses. You can kind of see the bulge where the shrink wrap was. And yeah, so that's ready to go. All right, I was doing some exploring here on where the connection is for the trailer brake controller. It's down here. So you just pull this this panel, just stick your finger back here and pop it loose. I also pulled the fuse panel out, or the fuse panel access there, just so I can kind of see what's going on back here. The Redarc system, we already talked about. This harness that I made has the actual brake controller here. Then it has the switch that you'll mount. It's a there's your manual engage, and then your gain control here, the knob and the bezel for it. This Ethernet cord is what connects the switch to the controller. So I've determined, I connected this. This is going to go up here and get stuck to, I think it's the top of a airbag module, because it turns out the word airbag right here, turns out there's a foot airbag here. So I think that's going to get stuck up here with some sticky tape. Then I'm going to put the knob and that up here. Now that, determining where to put it is difficult, but I can feel there's nothing but plastic here, and I kind of want it closer to the steering column, so we're less likely, and a little bit higher up, less likely to knock your knees on it and bump it. So this needs to get put up here, and I'm just kind of feeling around to get a rough estimate. So I'm going to end up putting it right about here. So I'll end up drilling a hole in here and doing that. So I'm going to go ahead, and this pains me greatly to do, because this car only has a few thousand miles on it, but we're going to do it. What's not clear is that this little thing up here is a light, and that has to come through. This goes on the outside, and I should have mentioned I put one of these Redarc systems in another vehicle, so I'm kind of used to it, but it's been a few years. So it looks like I need to drill a hole just above the one that I did. Okay, I took another drill bit and just kind of wallowed the hole a little bit there with the hammer there. Get that little burr out of there, and you can see that hole. It's not pretty, but I think it'll work. This install of this switch took way longer than it needed to be. So first thing I'm going to do is turn this all the way to the left so that this is pointed up, and we are on the number 10. I'm going to push that in, not too far, and then I'm going to check it, make sure when I turn it back, we go back the other way. So all the way over. Okay, so the switch is installed. Okay, I routed the harness over. I'm gonna tuck this up there and zip tie it, but I'll make my connection down here. So I'm gonna get my big old fingers in here. Can't do this without grunting a little bit. Okay, all right, that's there. And then again, I'm gonna get some tape here, and we'll put it up above there. I'm gonna try to mount this brake controller with the Scotch Mount Extreme stickies here, and put that in there. Now they do want you to mount it to something solid, so not zip tie it to a wire loom or something like that. All right, I got the double sticky icky on there, and I'm going to go ahead and put it up here. Well, get in there. All right, get in there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and set it down. There we go. That feels stuck to me. And then just make sure cables are out of the way of the, make sure these are out of the way of the steering column. So because the kit doesn't have a bracket, I went and picked up this universal, which you're gonna see, I'm only using it for these mounts here, or for these holes here. It otherwise is going to get a little boogered up because I'm going to weld on it. Having said that, I think if I had more time, I would just fabricate one from scratch. I've got to believe there is a KIA solution out there. You're going to see shortly that this is less than ideal. I've just got this plastic trim just up here just so I can visualize kind of where this needed to go. You can see this bracket's going to have to go back behind here, and we'll figure out a way to mount it. This bracket needs to go here and attach to something here. So the question is, what do we attach it to? My inclination is to fabric cobble something that goes on the hitch here, comes out here, because the one thing I do absolutely hate is a trailer plug that has a lot of slop in it. All right, I've got some stuff mocked up here. So let me pull this plastic off and show you. So I just took some scrap that I used to set some TIG parameters, and I've just got a clamp here to clamp this in place, and then a C-clamp on the hitch, excuse me. I've got a C-clamp here on the hitch, just to hold this practice welding piece here. So I'm gonna mark that, and then I'm gonna go look in my pile and see what other piece of metal I have that I can make a mount, and then maybe put 2 bolts on either side of the hitch there with a strap. So I cut this piece here. We're going to make sure that's the hitch. The bracket's going to weld over here in this corner, but I need to transfer that. So I got this little angle tool here. That'll give me the angle that I need to transfer over to here. So I've got that all mocked up here, and we're just going to put a line kind of arbitrarily here. This may move a little bit. I'm going to go fit it once we weld this piece on. There's another important measurement to take before unclamping that, and that is to understand this height to here, because that'll set the depth from the face that's on top of the hitch to there, so it's centered in that plastic piece. I couldn't have planned this better as far as measurements go, but the previous measurement was exactly 3 inches to the corner of the bracket. So I replicated that, as well as lined the angle up with the mark that I just made. I threw a couple tack welds on this. Now we're gonna go fit it up on the car and see how this looks, and then we'll figure out hole placement. So this is why we do some test fits here, because you can see this thing is off-centered. It's too far upward. I just took some measurements. It needs to come about 3/4 of an inch down. That's going to present a problem, and you're going to see that in just a second. So I only tacked this, put a couple of pour tacks on here just to hold it up, but that means I got to build something down here to be able to hold against this bracket. I've got a temp 2 here. I just cut off some off the top here, a triangle, welded it onto the bottom. What I didn't realize is I thought this was just like a passivated coating. This is really galvanized, so didn't do the greatest surface prep on the weld, so it's a little boogered, but you know, good enough for what we're doing. I think we're just about where we want to be here. This is pretty well centered. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this plastic piece, and then we're gonna need to figure out where to mark and drill holes. Oh, I'm pointing. Let me point. Mark and drill holes here and in the back, and then make a bracket that clamps over. I'm just gonna put a hole here and then a here once I finish this one and get the clamp out of the way. Okay, I had picked the world's dullest bit, so let's try this again. Okay, hole is through. Now let's step up the size. Plug is in, works. The mount looks pretty good. So let me show you what this ended up looking like. Okay, so we've got that bracket that I made, the plate that I drilled, a couple of bolts that line up here and here with some nylock nuts on it so it doesn't rattle loose. This thing feels, I mean, you can shake the whole car, it feels really sturdy. So like I said, the one thing I can't stand is when a trailer plug is kind of flimsy. If you could tell, I was a little annoyed at the whole thing because I knew as soon as I got into fabricating anything, that would just be a huge time sink. So anyway, but it's done. I've got one more step. I forgot the plastic. You got to trim this piece out here so it goes up underneath here. That guy's cut out. I ended up using the good old multi-tool here. Okay, it's all on there and everything's good to go. And the finished product. I hope this helps anyone trying to make their EV9 tow ready.